For many people, having a pet is seen as a great way to have companionship. Dogs, cats, rabbits, and critters enrich both the lives of the owner and the furry friend. However, as is so often the case, pets are very often abandoned or handed over to pet rescue shelters due to a number of factors, such as veterinary bills, the owner moving, or simply outright neglect. Pet rescue shelters are few and far between in Manitoba, and most of them run on a perpetual deficit. The 2022-23 annual report for the Winnipeg Humane Society, for example, states that the operating budget had a shortfall of almost $500,000 for that fiscal year, with only 52% of the funds for the budget coming from donations and bequests. Jane Meagher is the founder of the 100 Plus Manitobans Who Love Animals. This is a newly founded organization that hopes to use a community philanthropic model to raise money for pet rescue shelters. The thinking being that pooled member donations have a larger, more significant, and impactful result on the recipient shelter. On Wednesday, March 27th, starting at 5:30 and going until 7 o'clock at the Norwood Hotel in the Taché Room, the 100 Plus Manitobans Who Love Animals will have their very first inaugural meeting. And here to tell us more about the organization and their meeting, I am joined by the founder, Jane Meagher. Hi, Jane. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Chris. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
I first want to start out by finding out a little bit about you. From what I understand, you grew up in England, surrounded by animals, and your family even rescued racetrack greyhounds. Can you talk about that a bit? And have you always had pets?
Yes and yes. I grew up in a household where we always had a minimum one dog, usually a couple of cats. And we moved when I was quite small, we moved to a place that had a big field behind, and that's when we got our first horse. And I was on horseback by the time I was 18 months old. Later on, it became very apparent to my family that what was going on in England with at the races with greyhounds. It's a big thing in England. We're going to the dogs, they call it. It's disgusting. But anyway, and when the dogs become too old or aren't winning, they're euthanized. It's as simple as that. So my family started up a rescue for these dogs. And we took them all and then tried to find them homes. And, even today, my aunt in England, who's the last one left in my mother's family, but she's 92. And she has the largest rescued greyhound you've ever seen in your life, named Jojo. And it's the size of a pit pony. But so still doing it and still not being able to live without animals. And I followed suit. I have always had rescue dogs and cats. Always. Sometimes I find the cats in the back lane. That wasn't difficult. But I would go to shelters to get my rescue dogs. I have, right now, I have Sophie, who is, she's about 17 years old, a rescue. And she's blind, she's deaf, and sometimes she has accidents in the house. But I don't care because that kind of thing doesn't fizz on me.
And now you're someone who's spent pretty much the majority of your career dealing with social issues. You've worked with homelessness and addiction through your work with the Red Road Lodge, the 100 Women Who Care organization, and Manitobans for Human Rights. Why are you so passionate about creating social change?
I think what I'm passionate about, Chris, is justice. That's what I'm passionate about. I have been in situations in my work, the type of work I do, where I've had, I've heard horror stories about what have happened to my residents when I was at Red Road Lodge, what their childhood was like in foster care. But human beings like myself And I didn't have the greatest childhood, although I'm talking about all the animals. I think they fared better than I did. But I was molested when I was young, and I do have ADHD, and I do have PTSD from my childhood. However, I realized that I got to grow up and I got to tell my story of the cruelty that was done to me. Animals, they don't have that luxury.
Yes, yeah.
So people can get away with treating them atrociously, and there is no justice.
Yeah, there's no after effect.
Right.
So tell me, what is the goal of the organization, 100 plus Manitobans who love animals that you've founded? What is the overall goal?
Right. The overall goal is to create an organization, a philanthropic organization, with as many Manitobans as possible that love animals and will join. And together, the goal is to put a stop to culling on reserves, to support the amazing animal agencies or charities that actually go up north and arrange for injured animals to be brought back to Winnipeg. They arrange for spay-neuter on reserves. And I'll now move over to pussycats because I can't just be a doggy person. Craig Street Cats lately, we all know, was in the paper because they don't have the funding to keep going. So my goal is, with the help of as many Manitobans that will please join, 100 Manitobans who care. And together, 4 times a year, we'll meet. We meet for an hour. And we all write down the name of the charity that we want to win that meeting's donation. We put all those in a box and we pull out 3 names. And then the 3 members that put those names in, they get 5 minutes each to talk to the rest of the membership about why they chose that particular charity. Once that is done, the rest of the membership then votes on one of those 3 charities. The winner is then getting the donation. So hypothetically, if we had 100 members, they would each take out their checkbook and they would write a check for $100 directly to that charity. And I do that because I want every cent that somebody is giving to go directly to the charity.
Right.
My administrator and my team, we are all volunteers. I personally paid for the website to be built. My publicist, Vienna, does everything for free. My administrator, believe it or not, is the administrator for the Winnipeg Humane Society. And she's the one that will run our membership.
Okay.
So we're building right now. If we only get 50 members at the first meeting, and then we've raised 5,000.
Right.
But the goal is to get to at least 100, which I have done before when I was running 100 Women Who Care Winnipeg.
Right. So theoretically, you could raise $10,000 in 1 hour if you had 100 people. Who are the Manitobans that this organization is perfect for? Can any Manitoban join?
Any Manitoban. If you can, and this sounds like a lot, your commitment is for 1 year with us, and that you will attend 4 meetings. If you can't attend a meeting, then we ask you to give your check to a friend or whoever, or I'll pick it up, okay, if you're sick, for example. But it's 4 meetings a year for an hour. and $100 for each meeting. So your commitment is $400 a year.
Right.
Now, it sounds a lot. Some people go, $100? But if we were doing it monthly, it would be like $33.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. How is the organization different than, say, Craig Street Cats and Manitoba Underdogs Rescue and the Humane Society? How does it specifically differ?
Well, I'll start by saying the Winnipeg Humane Society are government funded quite a bit. So they stand aside, as far as I'm concerned, in comparison with, say, Manitoba Animal Alliance or Manitoba Mutts or Craig Street Cats that you mentioned. All of those charities are run by private citizens, and they have to rely on donations.
Right.
And their shelters are overflowing. They're running out of money. When I look at the charity, I am just giving an example, but when I look at Manitoba Animal Alliance, that is a 100% volunteer organization. And they have, I believe, a relationship with an airline that flies up north.
Okay.
And volunteers fly up for free, and they take cages, and they bring back animals that need veterinarian, sorry, this is my ADHD, veterinarian care. But it costs money.
Yeah.
It all costs money. They also arrange for spay and neuter on the reserves. But again, we have to get a veterinarian to go onto the reserve. And again, it costs money.
So how does the agency that has won the vote, how do they receive their money?
We collect the money at the meeting. So let's say we got 100 people. Hello, everybody out there. Please come next Thursday to the Norwood Hotel. We collect the checks. So let's say I collect 100 checks. So I've got $10,000. And the following week, I go with anyone that wants to go with me, any member that wants to go with me. And we go to that particular charity. We arrange it ahead of time. We hand them the $10,000. We have photographs taken with them. Their commitment, having received the $10,000, is to agree to come to our next meeting 3 months later and talk to the members. Tell us all, what did you use that money for?
Right. So they get the check, and then the agreement is that they've got to go to the next meeting and talk about how the money was used, right? So what exactly is the sign-up process for 100 Manitobans who love animals?
Well, there's a choice. People can go to the website, which is 100 Manitobans Who Love Animals, all one word, .ca. And then click on membership, and you'll see a membership form that you can complete and submit. However, if you prefer or you don't have access to the internet, please just come on down. We'll have membership forms available for people, and they can fill them out at the Norwood Hotel in the Taché room for our meeting.
Jane, the 100 plus Manitobans Who Love Animals sounds like it's a really fantastic initiative. Thanks for taking the time to stop by and talk to us today.
Thank you so very much for having us. Thank you.
For our Classic 107 listeners, the first meeting of the 100 Manitobans Who Love Animals takes place on Wednesday, March 27th at the Norwood Hotel in the Taché room. Registration starts at 5:30 and the meeting will begin at 6 and will go until 7 p.m. For more details, visit classic107.com or go to 100manitobanswholoveanimals.com. Jane, thanks again.
.ca.
.ca. Thanks again.